welcome to Centre Stage for Crick Buzz. I'm Melinda Farrell, and joining me inside is Lisa Sthalekar, because the wind and the rain is just so wild here in Quebec that it ended the game early, very frustratingly, and forced us indoors, and it's still howling around outside. Some of the wildest weather I can recall seeing at a cricket match.
Yeah, it was terrible weather, and unfortunately for India, they didn't get to complete the match, and Ireland actually was in a position where if they'd scored a few more runs, they might have been with a chance. But 155 runs India put on. Smriti Mandhana was the standout player. Shafali Verma, she struggled at the top, and then really a couple of wickets falling pretty early, and then the rain spoiling the parade.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. The first time we've had any kind of rain delay at all. And let's break it down a little bit. So at the top, we had Smriti Mandhana and Shafali Verma. Smriti, her second consecutive half century and her highest T20 score as well. She seemed to find it easier to get going, but Shafali Verma found it a lot harder.
Yeah, I think actually both of them. And I did the player of the match presentation and spoke to Smriti, and she was saying that she felt like she'd forgotten how to bat because of the lack of pace that the Irish bowlers have. And the pitch probably wasn't coming on as nicely as they would have liked. They were both trying to kind of hit themselves out. Smriti Mandhana has a better technique than Shafali. Shafali can be, a flat track bully, as we call it in Australia, and she just couldn't really adapt where Smriti Mandhana could, and she was able to kind of flick a switch. Once she got a six away, she was away. She was put down a couple of times, and that's something that Ireland will need to improve on with their fielding. But the wind, it was swirling around. You can kind of understand that it was pretty difficult out there.
The rain, when it did come in gusts, it was literally going sideways. We weren't sure if any of it was actually touching the ground at one point. That's how strong it was. Then we have an interesting situation where, India dropped Jemimah Rodrigues down the order a couple of places. She didn't come in until, I think, 7. And brought Harmanpreet Kaur up the order at first drop, and then Richa Ghosh. Harmanpreet, her 150th T20 international for India, so a huge milestone for her. But the runs sort of didn't really come. What was the thought behind dropping Jemimah Rodrigues down?
I think it was simply because Harmanpreet Kaur actually hasn't had a lot of time in the middle. She's got, maybe 10, 15 balls kind of for each of the innings. So she was hoping to get a bit more time out in the middle. Didn't quite go to plan. Same with Richa Ghosh as well. She went early. So Jemimah Rodrigues came in and she did well at the end. So I think, given that she had that 50 and that player of the match performance in the first game, Jemmy could kind of slide on down and give the other players an opportunity. That's what they were hoping for when they won the toss and elected to bat, that their middle order would have a bit more time in the middle. Didn't necessarily go to plan, but just on Harmanpreet Kaur and that 150th T20I, she's the first male or female player to get to that. So a huge moment. She was quite emotional at the toss about it. She said she felt like yesterday that she got her 100th, but that's how much cricket these players are playing now, which is great.
Yeah, fantastic moment for her. Really special for the India captain. Now, in reply, the chase got off to the most ridiculous start, really, where we had a run out on the first ball, a real mix-up there at the top of the order between Hunter and Lewis. And then we had a wicket straight after as well. It really put the Irish on the back foot right from the start.
Yeah, when you lose 2 wickets in the first over, it doesn't help. And Ola Prendergast, has been kind of the shining light for Ireland. I'll give you an example. Since she's come into the Irish side, they were averaging before that 99 runs in T20 cricket. All of a sudden she comes in and they're averaging 117. She strikes at 135. They were hoping that she would be able to put some pressure on players, but Renuka Singh Thakur, she is so good at the top. I mean, she hones in on that off stump. She's pretty impressive. And then Gabby Lewis, she did well. Like, she's one player that, seems to get those 30 odds. And while she might be the impact player for Ireland, she probably needs to go on a little bit more, and they'll get more opportunities. They're now on a level playing field. Laura Delaney spoke about that at the post-match presentation, that they're starting, they've got contracts, they're starting to play more, they'll go into the ICC Women's Championship, so watch out for Ireland, they're on the rise.
They are, and actually could have been quite interesting, because when the rain did actually come and stop play, with Lewis and Delaney out in the middle, they were only 5 runs short of the DLS pass score. So that would have made things rather interesting if they'd been ahead of that score when the rain had started.
And they admitted they weren't looking at it as well. So it's just inexperience coming in and getting caught up in just trying to be in the moment and playing on what you're seeing and reacting to it. But these are valuable lessons for them. For India, I don't know if it was the perfect preparation for a semi-final. Bowlers didn't really get a chance to bowl a lot of overs because of the rain. Harmanpreet Kaur didn't score runs. Richa Ghosh didn't score runs. Jemmy did all right at the back end. Dipti Sharma didn't. She got out for a golden duck. So the main thing is that Smriti Mandana got runs. Shefali's still trying to work through things, but they've still got a bit of work to do before the semi-final.
So is your top player Smriti Mandana?
Yeah, player of the match performance. Clicked gears nicely, and when she's flying, it's pretty impressive to watch. Struck it at 155, so she's certainly the top player.
An impact player, who are you giving that to?
Yeah, I mentioned Gabby Lewis. I think we'll go for the Irish, one of the Irish players. I think certainly she did well at the top, especially when they lost those 2 early wickets.
Okay, so first semi-final then, Australia, India. Oh my goodness, that's a tasty little morsel for us first up, isn't it? Rematch of the 2020 T20 World Cup final. Oof, what are we expecting?
Well, they all go to Newlands, don't they? So it'll be interesting to see what the pitch is there, remembering that these 2 sides haven't played there. The only match that they did play was a warm-up match against each other, when it was a low Bunsen burner that wasn't great for scoring runs. Spinners came into it. So I'd expect the pitch to play a little bit better. There's still concerns, I feel, for India and their bowling department. Their spinners haven't had a huge impact. Renika Singh Thakur is the only one that really has been able to fire. Shikha Pandey didn't get a real chance to bowl too much. And I'm worried about Pooja Vastrika, obviously coming back from a meniscus injury, not trusting her body yet, but maybe that extra pace and bounce at Newlands might help her. As for the Australians, they look pretty good. Question mark whether, and fingers crossed for Australia, maybe not for India, that Elisa Healy comes back. She missed the last game due to a quad strain. But they got some runs in the middle order with Talia McGrath, so I think they're flying. The only one that hasn't really had an opportunity is Grace Harris, but I think Grace Harris just goes from ball 1. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. She'll be fine.
Yeah, she's taken a couple of wickets and a ridiculous catch as well. So that pumps
She put
her
a bit of
tyres
mayo
up.
on that.
Oh, she put plenty of mayo. That was all mayo. That one. Well, look, really exciting that it's all coming down to the end of the group stages as well. That's what you want from a T20 World Cup. And then it's off to Cape Town for the semis. I can't wait. Hopefully we'll leave this win behind. We'll be back very soon to talk to you on Centre Stage. So make sure you keep it locked on to Cricket Buzz. In the meantime, we'll see you soon.